A teacher's job is never easy. They spend most of their time preparing classes and checking homework to ensure that all of their students are learning. They must also deal with unruly children and parents who are often dissatisfied with the quality of education their kids are receiving. Some teachers, though, use these challenges to make positive changes that can have an impact on the whole school. This was the case for one teacher who discovered a kid's drawing that changed everything. Stick around until the end to find out what it was. You won't be able to stop smiling after hearing this story. Mrs. Williams was a first-grade teacher at a prestigious private school in New York City. She had been working there for 5 years and loved her job more than anything. Her students were all well-behaved and eager to learn, which made going to work every day a joy for her. But after a while, Mrs. Williams started to feel like something was missing. The school administration kept telling her that she was doing a great job, but she couldn't help but feel like there had to be more to teaching than just following lesson plans and grading tests. One day, she decided to take matters into her own hands. As soon as she got to school, she went to the art supply closet and pulled out some brand new sketchbooks for each of her students. Then she gave them each a pencil and told them to draw a picture of their favorite superhero. At first, the kids were confused. They had never drawn a superhero before and didn't know where to start. But after a few minutes of instruction from Mrs. Williams, they were all off to the races. As Mrs. Williams walked around the classroom, she noticed that one student, Tommy, was struggling to draw his superhero. Tommy was a quiet kid who never seemed to want to participate in class. He was always the last one to finish his work, and it was clear that he wasn't very good at art. Mrs. Williams stopped by his desk to see if he needed help and was shocked by what she saw. Tommy had drawn a picture of a superhero that looked exactly like him. The superhero was wearing a cape and had lightning bolts coming out of his hands. And the most shocking thing about the drawing was that it had no eyes. Mrs. Williams was stunned. She had never seen such a unique and imaginative drawing from any of her students before. She asked Tommy why he drew the superhero without eyes, and he simply replied, "I don't know." Mrs. Williams took a closer look at Tommy's drawing and noticed something else. The superhero was flying over a city, but the buildings in the city all looked alike. She asked Tommy if he could tell her what was wrong with the drawing, and he said, "I don't know." Mrs. Williams then asked Tommy if he liked his drawing, and he replied, "No." She asked him why not, and he said, "It's ugly." At that moment, Mrs. Williams realized that Tommy was the most unhappy with his drawing out of all of her students. She wanted to do something special for him, but she didn't know what. Then, she had an idea. She told Tommy that she was going to show his drawing to the other students and ask them what they thought about it. She then took the drawing to the front of the class and asked the other students what they thought about it. To her surprise, they all loved it. They thought it was funny that the superhero had no eyes, and they loved the fact that he was flying over a city full of identical buildings. Mrs. Williams then told Tommy that she was going to hang his drawing in the hallway so that everyone at school could see it. Tommy was shocked. He couldn't believe that his drawing was going to be hung up in the hallway. He thought it was ugly and wasn't sure why everyone else thought it was so great. Mrs. Williams, however, was determined to make Tommy feel special. She told him that she believed in him and knew that he could do great things. After school, she went to the art supply closet and picked up a frame for Tommy's drawing. She then hung the drawing in the hallway outside her classroom so that everyone at school could see it. In the morning, when Tommy arrived at school, he was shocked to see his drawing framed and hanging in the hallway. He couldn't believe that his ugly drawing was now on display for everyone to see. But as he walked past the drawing during the day, he noticed that all of his classmates were staring at it and laughing. They thought it was hilarious and were pointing out all the things that made it so funny. Tommy couldn't help but smile. He was still a little embarrassed, but he was also very proud of himself. As the days went by, Tommy's drawing became a sensation at the school. All of the students and even some of the teachers would come up to him and ask him how he came up with such a great idea. Tommy was a little uncomfortable with all the attention, but he was also very happy that he was able to make people laugh. One day, Principal Thompson called Tommy into his office. Tommy was nervous because he wasn't sure what the principal wanted to talk to him about. When he got to the principal's office, he saw Mrs. Williams sitting in a chair. "I want to thank you for helping Tommy come out of his shell," said Mrs. Williams. "He's become a much more confident student since we started art class, and he's not afraid to share his work with the class anymore. We noticed a big change in Tommy ever since his drawing was put up in the hallway," said Principal Thompson. "It really helped him to open up and become more social. We're so glad that you've had such a positive influence on him." Mrs. Williams smiled. "It was no problem at all. I just wanted to find a way to make my students happy, and I think I achieved that goal." From that day on, Tommy was never the same again. He was much more confident in himself and his abilities, and was no longer afraid to share his work with the class. He continued to excel in art class, and his drawings were always displayed prominently in the hallways of the school. Tommy eventually became one of the most popular kids at school, and he had Mrs. Williams to thank for that. After this incident, Mrs. Williams continued to look for ways to make her students happy. She implemented new teaching methods that focused on creativity and imagination, and her students thrived under her guidance. She was eventually named Teacher of the Year, and she had Principal Thompson and Tommy to thank for that. Tommy graduated from that school years later and went on to become an artist. He never forgot the impact that Mrs. Williams had on his life, and he often thought back to the day when his drawing of the eyeless superhero changed everything for him. This story has been shared over 1 million times and has received over 8,000 comments. People from all over the world have fallen in love with this story, and many have been inspired to become teachers themselves after hearing it. The story of Mrs. Williams and Tommy reminds us that even the smallest gesture can have a big impact on someone's life. It also shows us that teachers are truly special people who have the ability to change the world by making a difference in the lives of their students. What do you think? How would you react if your child showed you a drawing like this? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.